Welcome, Husker fans. Thank you for tuning into Big Red Radio. My name is Caleb Jenneret. Next to me, as always, is my brother Zach Jenneret. Today, we are previewing the highly anticipated matchup between Nebraska and Colorado tomorrow morning. Big noon kickoff. Yeah. But first, I want you to subscribe to the channel, leave a like, hit the bell so you never miss an episode. All the socials, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook, all going to be linked in the description below. Before we get into it, Zach, how you feeling this fine Friday evening?
Feeling great. Honestly, gonna go ahead and agree with Deion this week. It's personal,
Personal.
you know, personal. I'm not gonna
Hmm.
not gonna say he's wrong there. This one's been there for a while, so yeah. I mean, they're definitely not taken away from this one. That's for sure.
Yeah, yeah, it's gonna be a fun one, definitely. I've been looking forward to this one in two different ways because since I saw TCU and Colorado play, even when I saw Nebraska play Minnesota, by the end of that game, after the end of the game, I was like, I just want to see what they look like next week. And then I saw Colorado play, and obviously they looked amazing. And I'm just like, I can't wait to see what Nebraska does against this. And now leading up to it, you get more and more confident. You find things that you think you can build on. It's like, man, this game's just gonna be a fun one. But before we get into it, I want to go over some news before we get into our official preview. IGC, Isaiah Garcia Castaneda out for the season. Receivers need to step up, whether it be Malachi Coleman, Josh Fleeks, Marcus Washington's already in the starting lineup. What'd you say?
Bullock, Alex Bullock.
Yeah, Alex Bullock needs to step up. I mean, he played great, I think, last week, caught the only touchdown pass. So, yeah, big things need to come. I'm excited to see if Malachi Coleman can get in there and make some plays. But yeah, I'm excited to get into it. Do you have anything on IGC before I move on to the next news thing? So here's something I think you're going to be pretty into. So everybody beware because apparently Colorado is going to have a whole 10% more of their fan base filling their home stadium than Nebraska will. 60% Colorado fans in their home stadium, only 40% Nebraska fans. So watch out because
So
it's
I
just
want
going
to
to be
know where they
crazy.
get these numbers.
Well, who
I
cares
want to
about
know
the
where they get the
numbers?
numbers.
Why are you bragging that 40% of your stadium is going to be filled with the away team's fans?
Right, but I just want to know where because I think it's gonna be more.
It could be. It definitely could be. And like I saw a tweet today. It's like you can sign up for like the Colorado newsletter or whatever, and then you get access to like the tickets. And then do they count you as a Colorado fan, even though you could be from Nebraska, Nebraska fan? You're just signing up for the newsletter to get updates on Colorado. Like it doesn't make a lot of sense. If you go to any Nebraska game, it doesn't matter. Let's say the tides are switched. Nebraska is playing Colorado in Memorial. That stadium's 90% red. Like that's not even close. And if it was 80% red, you'd be like, why is there so many Colorado fans here? It's not
Right.
like, oh my gosh, we have 60% of our fans here for our home opener, probably our most anticipated home opener of all time. It's like, gotcha. Deion, well, what was the quote? Is like, Deion already beat Nebraska. It's like we have more fans there than they do. It's like you should. This is literally a home game for you guys. Like, what are we bragging about, right? So I don't know. It honestly, I think the article looks good in Colorado fans' eyes, but I think it just made it like Nebraska fans just laugh at that article. It's like, what are you bragging about? It's like, congratulations, you finally got fans to come to the game, and
Yeah.
40% of them are going to be Nebraska fans, probably more. So it's like, I don't know. I don't get that. But yeah, just getting into the actual preview, going over the betting lines first. We'll get into our actual predictions and stuff after we go through all the preview and stuff. But Colorado's favored by 3. I think everybody knows by now. I think Nebraska before the season opened up as 7.5, 8 point favorite. Obviously, things have happened. Nebraska lost, Colorado won in huge fashion, and it completely flipped the line. I think immediately Nebraska was favored by 1. People started jumping on Colorado. It's gotten all the way to 3, hasn't budged. I think it might be 3.5 even by now, but hasn't really budged since then. The over-under is at 59.5. So, yeah, getting right into it, we're going to start with why Nebraska will win. And I'll start. I saw a tweet from Zach Carpenter. Colorado fans are going all in. They're like, Jeff Sims sucks. Like, he's not the guy. He threw 3 picks. We're going to ignore that TCU turned the ball over a couple times in the red zone last week and allowed Colorado to win by 3. But we're just going to ignore that because Colorado fans think that they just play perfect football and that's why they won the game. Whatever. Shout out to you guys. Zach Carpenter tweeted this out. He said, Jeff Sims has thrown 3+ interceptions in 2 career games. Last week, and then his freshman year, he threw 4 against Syracuse in 2020. Shout out to Tony White. He was the DC of that Syracuse team. His very next game, he threw for 313 total yards, 3 touchdowns, 0 turnovers, and the go-ahead touchdown pass in the fourth quarter of a 46-27 win. So it's just, he's going to bounce back. Jeff Sims has all the talent. Colorado had a poor showing last week on defense. Minnesota has a better defense, and Jeff Sims struggled throwing. He still ran for over 100 yards. And if Nebraska can get the run game going, which I think they can, passing lanes are going to open up with Jeff Sims, and it's just going to be easier throws than it was last week. Yes, Jeff Sims made some mistakes, but I'm not going to sit here and say he can't bounce back from that and be better against a lesser defense. Saying it the nicest way, Colorado is a lesser defense than Minnesota was. So I think Jeff Sims can bounce back, and I think that's going to be a major reason why Nebraska can win this game.
Yeah. For me, it all goes down to, I think we're going to run the football.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're going to milk the clock. I think it's going to be, a 90s football style game is how we're going to play this. And that's why I think Nebraska will win, because the Colorado defense is just terrible. Terrible against the run. Shiloh Sanders is god awful. That truly is the only reason he plays is because his dad's the coach. He gave up multiple touchdown runs, multiple touchdown passes. All right, you want to score? Go at that guy. When you're on offense, TCU gave up 10 penalties, 2 terrible turnovers, 2 of which were in the end zone, and at the end could not convert a quite easy 4th down. You threw a freaking out route 2 yards when you had to get 6. Just hit the open guy downfield. Colorado is good, don't get me wrong, okay? But they're not that good, okay? They're not that good. And you can't score with all your stupid fast guys if they're never on the field.
Yeah.
And
that was my next point.
Yeah. So, I mean, Nebraska had 3 drives in the first half against Minnesota.
Yeah.
If we can limit Colorado's drives like that and wear them down, I feel like Colorado is a very fragile team. Okay. Very fragile team. They were in a tight game with TCU. They played the game they wanted. They had a shootout. Their guys were all scoring. Woohoo, so fun. Now, what happens when you're down like 13-3 and Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter are arguing because one of them didn't run the right route or throw the right ball, and we can't score touchdowns, and we're not playing our type of game, and you're just getting pounded in the mouth on defense, and you can't stop the run, and that's all we're doing. Yeah, okay. I think mentally this Colorado team is very fragile.
I think that's a little bit of an over-exaggeration. I don't think there's been any evidence to back that up. So that's a very bold claim. But I do agree with the run game. I think that's exactly what Matt Rhule wants to do. That's no secret. I think Deion knows it. I just don't know if it's going to matter. I think the run game can go. I mean, the run game can just be solid all game. You can eat the clock, like you said, take the time of possession. The less this Colorado offense has the ball, the better. Because say what you want about what you think they are, what you think they do a lot of things well. They're fast. They're one of the fastest teams in the country. Dylan Edwards is one of the fastest players in the country. Travis Hunter is electric with the ball in his hands. Shedeur Sanders last week didn't make mistakes, and he made a lot of amazing throws. So Colorado has a nice offense. Their defense has a lot to leave on the table. And Nebraska ran the ball well last week against, I think, a better defense in Minnesota. So I don't think Nebraska will have any problem running the ball. And if they can limit possibilities for Colorado to even have a chance, then I think Nebraska's going to have a really good opportunity on their hands this Saturday. And my next one was getting after Shadur Sanders. So you can't run man coverage against Colorado. You can't. Travis Hunter is going to go for over 100 yards. Jimmy Horn's going to go for over 100 yards. You can't put a linebacker on Dylan Edwards. It's just not going to work. Sit back in your zone. They played zone last week. Had a little mishap there at the end. I think that was a zone coverage at the end. From what I saw, Malcolm Hartzog just wanted to just bid a little bit too much on the inside route. But I think if you sit back in your zones, let the pass come to you. We saw it last night with the Chiefs game. I mean, Lions played a ton of zone. You saw Kadarius Toney dropped one. Brian Branch ended up with the ball in his hands because he was sitting back in his zone doing what he does, and he returned it for a touchdown. Obviously, hopefully Nebraska can get a couple of those. But I think just getting to Shadur Sanders is going to cause a lot of problems. TCU couldn't get to Shadur. They got to him a couple times, but I think Nebraska has a better D-line. Second half, Ty Robinson's going to be back in there. He's definitely our best pass rusher so far, and we can blitz some guys like Reimer, Bullock. Now Heinrich's healthy again. If he gets comfortable, I think he tears Nebraska apart. But I think Nebraska's going to do a really good job at keeping him uncomfortable in the pocket, making him make those plays. Not saying he can't make them, but they're not as easy as just sitting back in the pocket waiting for your guy to get open, throw it to the wide open guy. It's just not going to be that easy. Or I hope it's not going to be that easy, and I think Nebraska has a game plan to make that tough on him.
Yeah. So getting into why Colorado will win now.
Yeah, go for
Um,
it.
here's the only way I think Colorado comes out with a win over us here. Okay. And that's if they turn the game into a shootout. All right. Because I just don't think that our defense is going to, and not saying our defense is bad for this. I don't think anyone's defense is going to be able to keep up with a high tempo shootout offense if you let Colorado do that, right? If you let Shadur Sanders sit in the back of the pocket and you let Travis Hunter and Dylan Edwards and all their other guys run around and, catch the ball and then go run right back up to the ball and do it again, then your defense is going to get worn out. You're going to start getting desperate on offense. You're going to start making mistakes, just like we saw last week, in desperate times. Jeff Sims, didn't make the best decisions, but if we're able to keep him calm and keep him in a spot where he can succeed, then I think he's good. But once we start scrambling and getting desperate and, running plays that we shouldn't be running, that's what's going to happen. And so if you turn into a passing game, then Colorado is going to turn into a shootout and, come away with the win here. But if you can turn this into a game where you're just going to run the ball in between the tackles and play really hard in those defense and just get after the quarterback, because thing is, if they try to throw the ball on first, second down and they realize that Scher's just getting pressured every time, on those following drives, they're going to try to run the ball. And I don't think they run the ball very well. But, you could also say, look at all the tackles they broke against TCU when they did run the ball. Whether or not Nebraska will miss those tackles, I don't know. I don't know how good TCU's tackling defense is or how good Colorado's rush offense is. But yeah, obviously when we turned the Minnesota game into a passing game, it didn't work that well.
Right.
But when we kept it as a rush game, we were winning the game very handily. And so if you let this turn into a shootout, air raid game, you're not going to win. But if you can keep it a ground and pound the way we want to play our football, then, I think we win this game. And I think, Matt Rhule gets his first ranked win, which would be massive. Deion shuts up. I was really hoping just to see him lose, just see what he said, because I knew what he was going to say when he won, which was exactly what he did say. But I just want to see what he says when he loses, because, a lot of people haven't seen him do that. Last time they saw him do that, he blamed it on I was coaching Colorado, and so I wasn't even coaching my team, and you still had to beat me in overtime. So we'll see. We'll see what he says after we beat him tomorrow.
Yeah. Similar to what you said, I think if this turns into a track meet, Nebraska's just can't keep up. I mean, when you got guys like Travis Hunter, Dylan Edwards, Jimmy Horn on the other side, Nebraska just doesn't have that speed. And if it turns into a downfield, just play again and again and again and again, get on the edges, Nebraska's not going to win. I mean, you just can't keep up with that. And Nebraska's not built to come back down 21-0 or 28-0 or even 14-0 would be tough depending on how early in the game it is. So Nebraska needs to keep that tempo to their tempo. They need to play slow, they need to keep the ball, and they need to get a few stops. And I mean, Nebraska made mistakes last week, which is my second reason. I mean, if Nebraska continues to just make mistakes, if we fumble a lot, or if we throw more, if Jeff Sims does throw more interceptions, or if we blow coverages on defense, it's not going to be good. So we need to be in our zone, and we need to be stick to our game plan and do things well. And Nebraska can definitely come out feeling really good about this game. And the offensive line needs to hold up. I liked what I saw last week out of the run blocking. I think that's going to be a huge factor in this game. Pass blocking, it's got to be better. I mean, Jeff Sims was luckily running very well, but he was running for his life at times. And luckily, he can make those plays and get up there. But if he's just running for his life entirely and he can't see receivers down the field, he can't continue to take these hits over and over and over again. He's a big guy. He's a physical guy. But if he keeps taking these hits, it's going to take a toll on him, and it's going to end up not being good. So if the guys can block, the guys up front, if they can keep the pass rush steady, if they can keep it off of him, just letting his receivers get open, letting him go through his progressions, he can find an open guy. And if there's not an open guy, then he can take off. But the first read shouldn't just be, oh, there's a guy about to sack me, so I need to take off and run for 10 yards. Like it just can't always be like that. We need to find our open guys and get it to them. Do you have any other things on why Colorado will win before we get to our final prediction?
Nope.
All right, so it seems like Zach has already said what his prediction is, but getting more in depth with it. As I said, the betting line is -3 in terms of Colorado. My prediction, I think it's going to be a close game. I think there's going to be a lot of scoring at the beginning and at the finish. I think that's when a lot of the scoring is going to happen. I think one of these teams is going to start hot, and if down the end it's going to still be close, and they're going to start scoring at the end more. But I think Nebraska actually does win 34-27. This isn't just me being a homer. This is me looking into everything. I think a lot of people are really, really high on Colorado, as they should be. I mean, even Zach said it last week. The 3.5 wins was too low. Zach said they're going to win more than 4. As much trash as he's talking on Colorado, he said they're going to win.
I said they're going to win 4. They are going to win 4.
Right. Which now it looks like they're going to win more than 4, for sure.
No, 4.
All right. Well, let's chill out a little bit. But I think Nebraska wins 34-27. I think Nebraska starts out strong. I think in the middle of the game it's going to be back and forth a little bit. Nebraska's going to hold the ball for a long time. Maybe Colorado gets a shot, scores a little bit, but I think Nebraska hangs in there, and I think towards the end of the game we can wear them out enough where it's going to be just ground and pound, and finally we're going to put that last one in, and it's going to be a good game. But I am super excited to watch it. But what's your final prediction?
Yeah, I think that's a pretty high scoring compared to mine. I think it's going to be a low scoring game. I think Nebraska is going to run the ball and play hard-nosed defense. And I think Nebraska comes away with this one 24-21. Alvano maybe hits that game winner.
I mean, nuts.
That'd be pretty cool for the old freshman. So I think that's how you close this one out. Is 24-21 in favor of Nebraska. And I'm currently getting kicked out of where I'm filming. So
all right, well, make sure you leave a like, subscribe, hit the bell. We will be back with our instant reaction tomorrow.
And bet the Iowa State under 36.
I mean, that's under 36.
Yep.
That's an 18-18.
It's free money.
That's an 18-18 game.
Free money.
It's
gonna be a 10-7 game. Those offenses are trash. Caden McNamara literally just said he was hurt.
Fair enough.
So yeah, there's your next hate the Hawkeyes bet, as I like to call them.
Yeah, well, make sure you leave a like, subscribe. We'll be back tomorrow right after the game for our instant reactions, win or lose. So thank you for watching, and we'll see you guys next week.